Hear me?
Yep, gotcha.
There he is. Technology.
There he is, the voice. I can hear it.
What's up, guys?
Chris Blair here with us to close out hour number 2 here on this Thursday. How's it going? How are you?
I'm good, guys. How is everybody? Where did y'all get rid of Jordy? You send him off?
Yes, we shipped him off to
out to pasture.
Yep, retirement home.
No, it's good to be with you.
I appreciate it.
Sorry for the mix-up this morning. I'm glad you still had time to join us because I know your schedule has been hectic. What's the transition like for you every year? Does it get any easier?
No. The problem is I'm getting older. I wish if I could fix that, it would be great. But no, there's no complaints. I mean, I've said it for years, almost 10 years now. I mean, the fact that on a Tuesday you get to go to the box and watch an incredible LSU baseball team. And I know we're only 4 games into the season, but I think everybody has seen enough to know that Jay Johnson's got a big problem on his hands, and that is who do you give the innings to? Yeah, who do you give the innings to on the mound, and who do you put in the field, and how many at-bats does everybody get, which is a great problem to have. But and then grab a little something to eat, and then head over to the Maravich Center and watch LSU basketball and get to sit courtside with John Brady. So no, it doesn't get harder. I'm just getting older, as you can see.
You're talking about this LSU baseball team. When it comes to preseason, before these last 4 games and how impressive they've been, we're just talking about expectations. In your eyes, has there been higher expectations before a season for a Jay Johnson-led LSU baseball team?
Gosh, I would probably say no, simply because I thought Jay overachieved his first year and came up short there in Hattiesburg. And really I was impressed, and I'm sure you guys are, and it's been much documented. I mean, just, pushing the right buttons and pulling the right levers and maximizing, what they had, and not a total rebuild. I don't want to say that. Coach Maneri certainly left talent. But then in 23, I mean, I think you knew you had a really good team, but you hadn't seen that yet. And of course, no slight to Jay Johnson. This is a high expectation program. And so I think as the season went along and then you saw the run they went on, everybody was thrilled that you brought home a 7th title. There were obviously expectations last year. And so I think, when you look at the talent, and our baseball fans are, in my opinion, the most knowledgeable of the game, and they understand talent because they've seen a boatload of it for many, many years. So I think when you compound all of that and look at what's on this roster, and even before they threw the first pitch of the season last Friday, I think the expectations are high. But, that's what I love about Jay. I mean, he said since day one, we want the expectations to be high. Some coaches in all sports will tell you, I don't really like being number 1 preseason because I like to have, start at number 5 and number 8, and then you can constantly push that as the carrot, so to speak. But that's not Jay. I mean, Jay said that's why he came to LSU. I mean, we're going to be able to get top-notch talent if we do our jobs. We're going to be able to develop that talent because I believe in our coaches and I believe in my system. And
Oh shit! Audio's gone again, Coach. I don't know how this is happening.
I don't know. We might have lost ours. I don't know if he can hear us either.
Throw it back to you.
Yep. The voice has been lost. We lost the voice of the voice. As Chris Blair
over here.
Yeah, the technical difficulties continue. As we are trying to get that ironed out
somehow.
I don't know. Lloyd's getting ironed out over there, but yeah.
If this works again this way, it would be bizarre.
Would it ever?
Oh, here. I got you.
Let's go. We're about to get him back. We're about to get the voice back.
Yeah, Yeah, you got me now?
Yes, got you now. Loud and clear.
Okay. What I was going to say real quickly is, Coach Johnson embraces the fact that the expectations are high, and that, he wants to be preseason number 1 or preseason number 2, whatever the case may be. He embraces that, kind of leans into that, simply because, that's why he came here.
Yeah, no, I mean, and those expectations are, tied directly to LSU baseball. What now, moving forward to what we've seen over the last 4 games, what have you taken away? I know the level of competition hasn't been anything to write home about, but what were your takeaways from this 4-0 start for LSU?
Well, I always think back, guys, to, when you do have a talented team, and LSU certainly has always had talented teams for quite a long time, that, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. What I mean by that is, sure, the first couple of games of the season, your non-conference slate, you're going to have teams on paper that overwhelmingly you should win. And if you stumble, or maybe you don't win by enough runs, there starts to be questions. We should have beat this team by 12. We should have run ruled this team. So you can only play, and you've heard this before, you can only play what's on your schedule. But I think if you take away the other team and just look at what this Tiger team has done through 4 games, especially on the mound, considering we haven't seen a number of guys that we're expecting to be, SEC ringers, the numbers bear out. I mean, 54 strikeouts to 3 walks in 4 games is impressive. I mean, that plays against whether it be Purdue, Fort Wayne, or Southern, or Nichols, or frankly Auburn, or Alabama, or Texas A&M. Those type of numbers, that type of accuracy, and smothering the strike zone plays. Now, you got to be able to do that for 56 regular season games and beyond. But I think what we've seen in a very small sample size tells us that this is as talented and as deep as we thought it was going into the year. That's really what I'm looking at. It's not really the competition. Because as anybody knows, if you've been around enough successful athletes, they will tell you, you're battling yourself. Sure, you got a game plan for the opponent. You want to know what their strengths and weaknesses are. But at the end of the day, especially I think in baseball, it's really you're competing with yourself. And I just think what they've done so far, putting up, I think, 3 of 4 games, double-digit hits. They've had no problem scoring runs. I love the fact that in Friday's opener, there were no home runs. They were able to manufacture runs. You've seen LSU be a little more aggressive on the base pad. You've seen a little more hit and run. You got a guy like Chris Stanfield, who certainly is a threat to steal every time he touches base. So, again, put that together with the pitching numbers so far when we haven't seen everybody. I just got to believe not only were the expectations high going into the year, I think they're continuing to rise each and every game we play.
Yeah, because I caught a lot of flack, or have continued to, because I've been kind of pushing the narrative that this team is good, and I get pushback on who they've played. But whenever I went to the game on Friday, it felt like there was an impetus on Jay to show kind of the crowd that this is different than what you saw the previous years of you have to score by hitting home runs. And almost like he put it in your face a little bit, like this is like more of an overcorrection to say this is what you're going to be doing, this is what you're going to be watching. And I thought it made me think, do you think he's more comfortable coaching a team like this? Kind of it helps him settle in?
Yeah, I think so. Again, I'm being around him as much as I have, he has a good reason to be confident in what he does offensively as a coach and what his teams do offensively. And that's not just here at LSU with the top talent. He's pretty much done that everywhere he's been. And the talent has just gotten bigger, and there's more of it when he got here to LSU. So, I've asked point blank during his weekly radio shows. I've asked him prior to games about, you want to add a little more aggressiveness on the base pads. There were lineups in the past 3 years where you really didn't want to risk getting an out when you knew you had a guy like Tommy White or Dylan Cruz or Gavin Dugas, and, the list goes on, that you don't want to take the bat out of their hand. And I understood that. And obviously you get into games where, you're not hitting the ball as well, or their pitcher's having a great day, and you really got to manufacture runs. But I think he believed that you weren't going to be able to hold these good hitters down for long. Now, I think when you look at the makeup of this team, and I mentioned Chris Stanfield, a transfer from Auburn, he's lightning fast. You got a number of guys that have that in their repertoire. So now I just think it opens up, to use a cliche, it opens up the playbook. And as he said multiple times, whatever it takes to win, whatever our strengths are, we're going to maximize that. And I just think he's got a collection of players now, and it's so deep that, okay, if you're going to take this away, then we're going to come at you with this. And that's why I think in this season, And who knows what'll happen by the time it's all said and done.
Right.
Baseball's a funny game, and the SEC is the toughest league. As Jay has said, there's SEC baseball, and then there's regular college baseball. And he's right, because of the emphasis that's been put on the coaches and the players and obviously the facilities. But I still just think he's got so many weapons. I just think he's added to the arsenal with the lineup he has. And that's why I think, I think we're all going to have a lot of fun watching this team this year.
They're facing Omaha this weekend, the weekend series. Obviously, the game last night against Nichols gets rescheduled. You've seen a lot of pitchers for LSU so far through 4 games. Have not seen Gavin Guidry yet. What, in your mind, do you see that role kind of being ironed out for number 8 in purple and gold?
Well, I think ultimately you are going to see him, and Jay's even mentioned to me on a couple of occasions, here are the options we may have today, and Gavin's always been on that list. I get the sense, and I don't have any inside information. I have the sense, if you look towards the end of last year, he kind of became a back end guy, and I like that for him because he certainly has the moxie. And he certainly has no fear of being in those tough situations. In fact, he's chomping at the bit to get in there. So I think long term, not to say that he won't be on the front end or maybe even start, because Jay he certainly doesn't lock everything into concrete as the season goes along. But I look for him to kind of be that guy and come in, with a lot of pomp and circumstance and try to put that intimidation factor in if it's a close game late, or LSU is able to take the lead late, and then all of a sudden the bullpen doors open, and here comes Gavin Guidry with that strut making his way to the mound. That's where I think he'll be. But I think at this point of the season, when you're trying to avoid injury, you're trying to not lose guys. I don't know that that's been put in stone yet, but that's where I would see him going. And part of me, I guess, over the weekend was a little surprised we hadn't seen him. But Jay's big on Gavin. He likes his competitive fire. He likes what he's done in the offseason to improve. And as I said, he's a confident young man. And, you need that in this game because this game will humble you very quick. So that's what I expect to see, but we'll wait and see. I don't think we'll go much longer without seeing him at least make an appearance.
Right. I think we all know when we look up and if LSU's in Omaha, who's going to be coming in the eighth or ninth inning. But that goes to kind of the problem that it feels like, I don't want to say problem, but we hit on a little bit of the embarrassment of riches. And his biggest problem is how much talent. You saw it last year where he tried to mix and match almost very deep into the year with who he wanted to play and tinker with the lineup. Now that he has kind of the same problem, but maybe a little bit deeper, how do you expect him to go through this entire year where you get to a point in the season where you know who your guys are, as opposed to you've played upwards of 20 people. Now you have to, at some point, you have to whittle it down to see who does what and who you can throw out there every weekend for a series.
Yeah, there's no doubt. That's what he wants to do eventually, and that's why we're going to see a lot of different guys in different positions here in the first month plus of the season. Because he definitely wants to be able to get that locked in. And it is a great problem to have that he's going to have, going to be a lot of late nights of him studying both the other team they're facing and what arm would fit best to help LSU. But one of the things I've always said about Jay that I've gotten to know over the years that's impressive is in this day and age of transfer portal and NIL, he's had a way to really create that team camaraderie where it's, guys, we're here because we're wearing the purple and gold. We're here because we've got the best college baseball fans in the country. And we're also here because we have a chance every single year, as long as Jay Johnson is head coach, to battle for an SEC crown, to get to Omaha, and to add another number to the Intimidator. And in this day and age, that sounds easy. Who doesn't want to be on a winning team? I get that. But again, in the day and age we live in, where maybe you think you should be playing every day, you should be the starting second baseman every game, you should have 4 at-bats a game. We've seen over the last couple of years, even without this amount of talent, he's always had a lot of talent. And they bought into, when my number's called, I'm going to go out there and give it my all. And I think that may be the secret sauce that Jay's been able to create. And you've seen it already through the first 4 games. I think about a guy like Ashton Larson, who was a big contributor last year. Jake Brown is another one, a big contributor last year. And they all know right now they're battling to get at bats. And I thought Sunday Ashton did an amazing job of promoting
forget about
his
me.
ability. Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to have him in the field, coach, make me the DH because I'll get you a double and a home run and a handful of RBI. So I think that's the secret that Jay has had, and that's not easy to do, as we all well know.
Yeah, and you're talking about buy-in from the players to switch it up a little bit. Men's basketball obviously went through a rough stretch there in conference play, but over the last 2 games has been able to put back-to-back wins up in league play. I've been very impressed with the buy-in Matt McMahon's been able to get from the players to go out there and perform the way they have, really with nothing to gain from it besides winning and wearing the purple and gold. What have you seen over these last 2 games from the LSU men's basketball team?
Yeah, I mean, I get the chance to be around them during the week. We travel with them. We're in the hotels. We go to shoot around when we're on the road. And I haven't seen a drop-off in work ethic. And frankly, that surprised me, not because of the character of these kids, but that's a 7-game losing streak and everybody talking about it. And these guys certainly are on TikTok and Instagram and X and everything else. There's so many more platforms that I frankly have no interest in, but they know it and they hear it. And, even Coach Brady, who's been around the game a lot longer than I have and has seen a lot better play than I have, will tell you that he's been impressed with the fact that they have continued to come to work and really have shut out the noise. And, it was great to talk to Mike Williams after the game Tuesday night. He had a season high 13 points, and we specifically asked to talk to Mike because here's a guy who really came on strong at the end of last year when LSU was able to go on that run to get themselves in the NIT, and he was a big part of that. And from the very beginning of this season, he just didn't play as much, had trouble beating other guys out. And as John said, it was kind of a ghost man for a while there. But he never stopped working. He never continued to compete. He was always a good team guy, always getting the rah-rah and always had a smile. And now he's had a chance as LSU has gone to more of a perimeter-oriented team or lineup. His minutes have gone up, and what do you know? His point total has gone up. His game efficiency has gone up. His defense has improved, and that's because he's worked. And Coach Brady told him on the air. He said, "Look, don't think for 1 minute, as much as all the noise is out there, don't think that people haven't noticed your commitment to the program, your commitment to improving, because they have. People that understand the game of basketball, certainly." And Mike looked at us and said, "Hey, adversity builds character." And, I told Matt McMahon last night on the radio show, I said, "Coach, I know this is a sport, like any sport, where everything's judged in wins and losses. You understand that. You haven't shied away from that. But if nothing else, the fact that you've got a young man who had a little bit of success last year and then hit adversity right out of the gate this year and is still coming back for more and has that type of attitude, you're doing something right."
All right, well, that's the voice of LSU Sports. We appreciate you this morning hanging out with us and giving us the insight. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, man. I thought I'd miss Jordy, but really didn't.
It's been a recurring theme.
Don't worry about it. He's not listening. You don't have to worry about
No,
it. Listening
I'm
to this
kidding.
either.
I'm kidding.
He didn't listen when he was here.
And I know he's still the puppet master behind the scenes, as he says. But wish him the best of luck. And he's always been really good to me. And I'm glad you guys reached out to me, and look forward to joining you each week.
All right,
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I expect at least one Omaha.